Oh yes, welcome back to Love It Live Saturday here on The Flash. We are live with some excellent guests all the way through until 6 o'clock this evening, and that is when we go back to our normal programme schedule. But don't forget also, Millie is going to be with you, as she is every Saturday, between 2 and 4, so we're looking forward to that as well. But right now, it's just gone midday. The time is around 3 or 4 minutes past 12, and we're now joined by Jay Groovara, who is a Portsmouth-based musician, singer-songwriter, an all-time superstar, and he's going to be sharing his musical choices. So Jay, hello and welcome to The Flash today.
Hello, how are you doing? You good?
Not too bad at all. Are you settled in your chair now?
Yeah, pretty much.
Marvellous. It's always a bit hectic when one guest leaves the studio and the next one comes in and quickly settles down in the chair.
Yep.
So nice to know that you're settled in. Now then, Jay, to begin with, tell us, I always like to start at the beginning. Tell us where your musical journey started. How did you first get into the music scene?
I guess it was when a friend of mine bought a Stratocaster when he was about 12 or 13. And he was learning how to play it, and I went around his house and he was playing a few chords on it, and he showed me some basic stuff on it, and I thought, hey, do you know what, I could do this, I could probably pick this up quite quickly. But so I demanded my mother give me a guitar for Christmas, so that Christmas I got a guitar, and then I sounded terrible because I couldn't actually play anything, so she was like, you're going to get some lessons, because she's Irish. So I got some guitar lessons, and I was doing that for about a year with Dave Shah of what's that band he was in, Doctor something or other, anyway, I can't remember, terrible names. But anyway, just basically did that for a year, and then after that I started doing gigs in pubs and stuff like that. I think we debuted at this Children in Need Day at college, and we sounded terrible, and it was a really good lesson because it taught me how to do little things like practice, because I hadn't really rehearsed whatsoever. So yeah, and since then I've been kind of gigging on and off ever since. So yeah.
Now, for anybody who hasn't heard you play, you play sort of on your own, and you've got the Jay Groovara Band as well, of course.
Yes.
Now, you've actually listed the genres that you include within your music. So just describe your music to our listeners and the kind of genres that you kind of touch on and sort of mix in within your music.
We play loud rock stuff to make your ears bleed. So we do a lot of 60s influences and grunge kind of stuff, so it's kind of like a folky grunge rock sound, something like that. So yeah, and we tend to play with the volumes up to 11, and just kind of rock as much as possible.
And where did the name Jay Groovara come from? Because your music, it has got like a groove, a good groove. All of your stuff is quite groovy, baby.
Yeah. I guess it started when I was in London. I was doing a film degree, and I joined a band called The Coolness. And I was also kind of, because I was a student, I was getting caught up in a lot of the political groups and stuff like that. And we ended up doing lots of marches and things like that, because at the time there was a lot of austerity cuts. And so there were the million-mile marches, millions of people turning up to these marches against the cuts and stuff. So around that time, the Jay Groovara thing kind of started. But I think it really solidified when we ended up doing a gig in Austin, Texas. And basically, it was a typical sort of Spinal Tap moment where the band took off and left me stranded downtown. And I was kind of lost. I didn't know where I was in the middle of America and all that kind of stuff, and I was literally just walking around with my cowboy hat and shades on, and I think that's kind of when it really solidified the idea of Jay Groovara. And like a whole day doing walkabout in a strange land and that kind of stuff, so with no money, no phone or anything else, so it was all pretty scary stuff, but it was a real sort of experience of coming of age in terms of this idea of Jay Groovara and the music that we play.
And it's very clever the way that you've done it, because you have created your own persona and visually, if you look at Facebook or any photographs, you always know when it's Jay Groovara because you've always got those shades, you've always got the hat. Now, coming up, we're going to have a couple of live performances from you, I guess. You've got your guitar with you, which is excellent. Yes. But also, we're going to be with yourself also enjoying and hearing some tracks from bands that have influenced your music over the years, I think it's fair to say. And we're starting off with The Doors. So tell us about this first choice and why you've chosen this.
There's lots of Doors songs to choose from. I mean, the obvious one is Light My Fire and stuff like that. But I think this particular song is interesting because it was on their third album. And what they were trying to do with the third album in particular was trying to extend on the idea of their poetry monologues that they used to do. Because they did a lot of stuff in the first two albums with The End and sort of long 10-minute sort of dramatic music. So the third album was going to be a completely sort of journey through poetry, but Bruce Botnick, the producer, basically didn't want them to do that. So what you ended up with in the end was just this particular song called which was part of the Celebration of the Lizard, which was a 15-minute long sort of poetry thing. And this aspect of that poem is called Celebration of the Lizard. So basically that's why I chose it.
Not to touch the earth, not to see the sun, nothing left to do but run, run, run. Let's run, let's run. House upon the hill, moon is lying still, shadows of the trees, witnessing the wild breeze. Come on baby, run with me. Let's run, run with me, run with me, run with me, let's run. The mansion is warm at the top of the hill. Rich are the rooms and the comforts there. Red are the arms of luxuriant chairs. And you won't know a thing till you get inside. Dead president's corpse in the driver's car. The engine runs on blue and tar. Come on along, not going very far, to the east to meet the Tsar. Run with me, run with me, run with me. Let's run. Some outlaws live by the side of a lake. The minister's daughter is in love with the snake, who lives in a well by the side of the road. Wake up, girl, we're almost home. Hey, come on. We should see the gates of morning. We should be inside the evening. Sun, sun, sun. Burn, burn, burn. Sound, sound, sound. Low,
There's the Doors and Not to Touch the Earth here on The Flash. That is the first choice of influence, musical choice of influence of my guest at this hour, who is Jay Groovara, singer-songwriter and musician from Portsmouth. Now then, Jay, thinking back to when I was first introduced to your music, it was a good few years ago now.
Yeah.
And at the time, you'd released a song, correct me if I'm wrong on this, and I think it was Heath Ledger's Canoe, I think was the first thing we ever played from you.
Oh, yes.
And I think if I remember rightly, there was some kind of a competition. You asked people to come forward with ideas for a song, and then you wrote a song based on their ideas. Is that right?
That's right,
Just talk us through that.
So part of our stage act thing is the improvisation thing, where I ask the audience to suggest 3 ideas to make an idea for a song. So usually I'd ask them for things like a scenario, a famous person, and an object. And in this particular case, I was doing a run of YouTube songs, and I put a shout out on Facebook, and somebody suggested I do a song about Heath Ledger and a canoe and the crucifixion and all this kind of stuff. And that's kind of how that song came about. So I quickly wrote the lyrics and did a sort of demo, and then we went straight into the studio the next day and did the whole song in one take. And that's kind of how the song came about. So I was quite happy with it. So
excellent. I don't think we're going to be hearing that particular song in this hour,
no.
but it's always good to touch upon. Now, as well as being a singer-songwriter, a musician, you also organise events, and you have a regular open mic night, which we do promote on The Flash on a regular basis.
Yep.
But for those people who haven't heard, just tell us about the open mic night that you run, and what people can expect if they come along.
Okay, cool. So it's called Broken Mic, and we run it every Wednesday night at about 7:30 to 11 at the Jolly Sailor Bar, which is in Southsea. And we have a drum kit and amps available, and we're trying to basically provide a platform for local bands and solo artists, and not just those, but also comedians and magicians and anyone who just wants to get on stage and just get on the ladder to the music scene. And I think it's kind of a good. I think any open mic night is a good way to kind of break your way into music, because it teaches you a lot about things like singing in tune, not playing the same song for 10 minutes, learning how to economize your time, audience, getting on with the audience, communication with the audience and stuff like that. So that's basically why we do it, to give those people an opportunity to do that.
And you can't underestimate how important open mics are in the area, or in any area, because one thing I learned pretty quickly when I started the radio station was started The Flash to promote local artists and have a radio station where you can just mix in local artists throughout the day, whereas most radio stations tend to have like a specialist show late at night where it's just 1 hour and it's hidden away. And one thing I realised very quickly, and it amazed me, how many people are out there who have a guitar, who actually buy a guitar, play around with it, write songs, and then just play them to themselves in their bedroom, and don't really have the confidence to go out and share the music. They're a bit worried that it's not going to be popular. But the great thing about open mic nights is it gives you an environment where you can get used to playing in public, but you're amongst friends, you're amongst people who are trying to do the same thing.
And it also helps you to get past the thing in your head where I guess when people start playing guitar and singing and stuff, they have this kind of image in their head of how they actually sound, and it's only really till you start playing live, and particularly when you record it and play it back, that you realize how terrible you actually are, and you need to work upon that, and that's when you start to improve. Because I see a lot of stuff on the X Factor, and they're literally shunting people on stage, and the stage is enormous, and there's no way they can really hear what they're singing, because they're very nervous. They're gonna play in front of people like Simon Cowell, and it's just this massive stage, and the monitors are too far away for them to hear, so they obviously are going to stumble through their songs and naturally fall short of their best potential for that kind of stuff. Whereas, you know, when we're doing an open mic night, it's a more intimate kind of thing, and the audience are a lot more forgiving. And there's a very small degree between that and a proper gig, really, other than the fact that with an open mic night you have the freedom to make mistakes and just get better and just improve on your craft and just work towards getting better gigs and so on and so forth.
And a lot of bands have been created simply by making contacts through open mic nights over the years, which is so very important. So thank you for doing that, and we'll continue to promote it here on The Flash. And we'll be talking more about sort of your gigs, and also we'll, before the end of the programme, get the contact details so listeners know how to follow you and what you're doing. We're going to have a live performance from you very shortly. You're getting your guitar ready, and you've got another microphone set up, and you've got cables all over the place.
Oh, I have indeed,
so we're looking forward to that. But first of all, we're going to have another one of your choices, and you've chosen some Jimmy.
Yes, a bit of Jimmy, yes. So I can't remember which song it is now. It's Crosstown Traffic.
That's the one. Crosstown Traffic.
Yeah, I suppose I chose this one particularly because, again, it kind of solidifies a lot of Jimi Hendrix's ideas into one song. So you've got a lot of interesting things going on in there. You've got some interesting riffs and catchy hooks, and it's a nice short song. And he's also kind of breaking out into a kind of rap thing, which was kind of quite new at the time. So he's kind of half talking, half singing. So it's almost like he's rapping, which was quite interesting because this was quite an early example of that kind of idea. And I think a lot of rappers may have picked up on that. Sort of future rappers wanting to be rappers or whatever may have picked up on that and thought, this is a good idea, and built upon it. But yeah, it's just a great song, and I think they use kazoos in it as well, which is great. So it's a lovely song.
Brilliant stuff. So let's have a listen. This is Jimi Hendrix. You've all heard it before, you Flash listeners, for goodness sake. And it's an excellent song, always worth hearing it. This is Crosstown Traffic, the next choice from Jay Groovara.
Speed I drive, you tell me it's alright. You don't mind a little pain. You say you just want me to take you for a drive. You just let it get through you. I didn't need to run over you. All I need to do is slow me down. And I'm trying to get on the other side of town. The only souls accused of hit and run. Tire tracks all across your back. I can see you had your fun, but darling, can't you see my signals turn from green to red? And with you, I can see a traffic jam straight up ahead. You're just right, so hard to get through to you. I didn't need to run over you. All I need to do is slow me down. Better things on the other side of town.
Excellent. There's Crosstown Traffic. That is Jimi Hendrix today. It is Jay Groovara as our guest between now and 1 o'clock today on Love It Live Saturday. And it's now time for a live performance. So, Jay, tell us about the tune you're going to perform for us now.
Okay, this song is called Rocket Car. and I'm not quite sure what it's about. I suppose it's about love and wanting to be with somebody, and and when you see, I guess when you're in a relationship, it's much more fun to go and do stuff and visit places rather than by yourself. So I guess it's kind of about that. So
okay, here we go. Live performance from Jay Groovara.
Travel on up to the moon and stars, but you won't get far, no, you won't get far, it's true. I can travel on up, have a picnic on Mars, but it won't mean a thing, no, it won't mean a thing without you. Cause you're my rocket fuel, you're the thing that's keeping me going. You're my rocket fuel, you're the thing that's keeping me flowing. I can travel up to the stars and have a picnic on Mars, but it don't mean a thing without you. You keep me going, keep me going. You're my rocket fuel. You're my rocket fuel. Keeping me going. You're my rocket fuel. You're the thing that's keeping me. You're the thing that's keeping me. You're the thing that's keeping me all flowing.
Excellent. Jay Groovara, and that was Rocket Fuel on the Flash. And I love the effect you got there with the echo. And
thank you.
And you do love using your various effects, don't you, within your music?
Mostly delay, because it kind of helps to fill out all the cracks in the vocals and the guitar and whatever. But
well, there's no cracks in that's for sure. Now, we did mention your band earlier on. Now, how did you meet the musicians that make up the Jay Groovara Band?
It was kind of pre-COVID, I suppose. So the longest member in this particular lineup has been Chris Stapps, who has been playing bass for me for a few years now, and he's been sort of my wingman in terms of doing lots of gigs. And so there was also Miles, who occasionally does stuff for us as well. So it's mainly been Chris Stapps who's been sort of helping me do a lot of the kind of duet gigs that we've been offered over the past few years. But more recently, we have our drummer Raz, who we call Satan Raz. And he's a very, very good drummer, and basically he's been sort of in the band for probably about 2 years, something like that. But we've only been really sort of getting the band, post-COVID up and running again since October last year. So we've had a nice lot of string of gigs with him. And finally, we have another Raz. We've got 2 Razes in the band. So we've got another Raz who's a keyboardist, and he's a fantastic keyboard player. And he also plays guitar. which is quite cool. And so he saw us play in Chichester at the Wickham Arms, and really loved what we were doing, and asked to join the band. And so it's been great, because it kind of expands upon, it fills out the sound a lot more, and it just means I don't have to work so hard on the guitar trying to fill all the holes or whatever. So yeah, it's been a nice little lineup that we got. So hopefully we're gonna get a nice little string of gigs this year, but we shall see.
Excellent. Well, I'm pleased you managed to get in a bit of a name check for your band, and you can't have enough wazzes in a band, can you?
Lots of razzes, yeah.
Yes, it's always good. Right, okay, well, what we'll do the gig guide so that listeners know where they can go to enjoy some live music this evening, and then we'll get into your next choice.
Cool.
The local live music gig guide, a free service from The Flash. Email gigs@theflashonair.co.uk.
Yes, this is what's happening tonight in Flashland. We have music bites featuring Mags Wiley and Andy Broad. That's in the gallery of the Spring Arts and Heritage Centre in East Street, Havant. That starts at 1 o'clock this afternoon, so you've got half an hour to get your feet going and get down there. A free entry as well for that one. Stone Broken with guests Mason Hill and the Fallen States. They're at the Wedgwood Rooms in Albert Road, Southsea. That's with doors opening at 7:30. For more information and ticket availability, you can visit wedgwood-rooms.co.uk. Juno Rising are at the Swan Pub in Jesse Road, Havant. That starts at 8. Aaron Cole is a 17-year-old Elvis tribute, and I've heard lots of fantastic things about him as well. Aaron is going to be performing at the Lee Park Working Men's Club in Dunsbury Way, Havant, starting at 8 p.m. That's probably the youngest Elvis tribute that I've heard of. And we have Starburst. They're a 70s glam rock band. They're performing at the Olive Leaf on the seafront in Hayling Island. That starts at 8:30. The Beat Collective are at the Plough and Barleycorn Pub. That's in Westbrook Farm, Waterlooville. That starts at 9. Simply Weller, obviously a Paul Weller tribute, at Cowplain Social Club in London Road, Cowplain. That starts at 9. Free entry for members, but £5 for non-members. That's what it says here. Audio Friction are at the Heroes in the Precincts, London Road, Waterlooville. Creative Covers are performing at the Westley Pub in Martin Road, Havant. That starts at 9 tonight. Soul Patch at the Brewery Tap in London Road, North End, Portsmouth. And we have the Artichokes at the Windsor Castle in St Thomas's Road, Gosport, starting at 9. Split Screen Radio are at Trinity Tavern in Trinity Street, Fareham. And Black Smoke Rebellion are at the Fareham Pub in Trinity Street, Fareham as well, just up the road. And that's starting at 9 o'clock as well. Don't forget, the gig guide on The Flash is a free service. You can catch it not only looking at the gigs for this evening, but also for tomorrow as well on our website, theflashonair.co.uk. If you've got gigs to tell us about, just email gigs@theflashonair.co.uk. And I must mention an event that's taking place as well today. Here's another event that's happening. It's a busy day for events at Blendworth Church Centre. That's Blendworth Church Centre in Blendworth Lane, Waterlooville. They're holding a plant sale this afternoon. That's starting at 1 o'clock and running through until 4 p.m. There's going to be a variety of vegetables, fruit and flower plants available, and all funds raised in the event will go towards the Holy Trinity Church. So that's taking place from 1 o'clock this afternoon. Don't forget, if you've got some community events for us to tell the world about, try and give us a few days' notice, but do email community@theflashonair.co.uk. Now then, Jay, another one of your choices today, and we've got something from an artist I've never heard of before.
Okay.
No, I tell you what, we'll skip that. I'm thinking ahead. I was looking at Blue Cheer, which you have here, so I'm looking forward to hearing that. We're having Nirvana up next. Of course, I've heard of Nirvana.
Of course, yeah.
So tell us why. I think you've actually chosen an album, haven't you?
No, it was.
It says here, live on top of a pop, so I guess that's relating to a story.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
I don't know if you've selected that particular track, but it was the first time I saw Nirvana was on Top of the Pops, and this was before I even heard about them on the radio or anything. So back in those days, bands were contracted when they went on Top of the Pops to only sing vocal only. They weren't allowed to play live, basically. So it was a bit of a drag. If you go on Top of the Pops, you weren't really allowed to perform properly with your band and everything. It was all kind of, they played the backing tracks. It was literally like karaoke. back in those days. So it was just interesting because when Nirvana went on there, they played the backing track to Smells Like Teen Spirit, and they all have to kind of mime with the drums and the guitar and all that kind of stuff. So they were really kind of messing around like little kids, and sort of not playing the guitar properly, and just fooling around. And Kurt Cobain started singing like Elvis or something. He's kind of like, it was just bizarre. It was just this bizarre sort of my first impression of this band. I'd never really heard of them at all before that, and that basically solidified my kind of journey onto rock and roll. Just watching them do that fantastic performance, and Kurt Cobain just going, "Load up long guns, bring your friends, it's hard to lose." And it was like kind of Frank Sinatra or something. It was just hilarious, and then they trashed their instruments at the end of the show, and I think they were banned from ever playing Top of the Pops ever again. But
it's funny because Top of the Pops, thinking back in time, there wasn't a great deal of television then. You didn't have music television, and you certainly didn't have the internet. And I remember watching Top of the Pops, and there was something quite bizarre that I always thought as a kid about Top of the Pops, because you kind of got the impression, and I think it was absolutely a true impression, that it was old people that were organising the programme and didn't really get the music that they were featuring. They didn't really get how to put it over properly. And I'm surprised to hear that you were even allowed to sing live, because I thought that it was all totally mined. The way that I understood it is that they had this bizarre thing whereby you had to go into the studio the day before, another studio, and record it.
Right.
And then they played it, and then you just mind. And I remember there were a few bands who, like Nirvana, used to take the mic a bit. I remember Status Quo used to do it a lot. They used to mess around, and there was one point where I think Francis Rossi either faked falling off or just fell off the stage and disappeared from view.
Right. Okay.
He was still singing. He got back on the stage, and he just looked around and just started dancing, and then joined in again. And I think lots of people sort of messed around with Top of the Pops. Plus, also in the 70s, it kind of went through this strange period whereby they tried to turn it into a show for the whole family. There was, Clive Dunn and Grandad, and the next artist might be the Sex Pistols. It was really bizarre.
It was a weird mix. They'd always put on one-hit wonders as well, and you never hear from them ever again. They'd always, it could be like the Chicken song from Spitting Image or whatever. But
and one thing that I was watching a documentary about Top of the Pops. And one thing that amazed me is that the organisers of a TV programme, because they wanted it to be something for the whole family, they used to put acts together especially to appear on the programme, acts that they felt would fit in with a show, and that would end up being released. They kind of like controlled the narrative.
Contrived it, yes.
Because unless you were on Top of the Pops, you never got into the charts at all, did you?
Well, there was no internet, was there? So,
there's nothing like that. Anyway, let's have a listen to this. I'm moving off of the script. Let's hear Nirvana, and the one I've actually chosen is Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Yes.
Seems like an obvious one.
I think so, yeah.
Excellent. There's Nirvana and Smells Like Teen Spirit. That's our next choice from Jay Groovara today. You're listening to Love It Live Saturday. This is something we do once a month where we open the doors of The Flash to organised guests. And if you would like to be a guest on The Flash and have an hour on the air, whether you're a musician, singer-songwriter, or maybe you're involved with a community group, or maybe you're a listener who just wants to come on and share your passion for your music, all you need to do is get in touch by emailing community@theflashonair.co.uk. That's community@theflashonair.co.uk. And this summer we're hoping to link in with some events and having some live link-ups during the summer months, and maybe do a bit of fundraising as well. So we've got all sorts of things planned during the summer. I must say hello to a few listeners. Must say a big hello to a guy called Mark Lama. I believe that's right. That's what it says on the email. He says, hello there. Please could you tell me how to listen to Swinging Radio 60s on Alexa, as I've tried but without any luck. Well, Swinging Radio 60s we broadcast from midnight till 7 in the morning, and I've passed on your message to Tony Smith, and he runs Angel Radio, which is part of Swinging Radio 60s, and they will get back to you and let you know how you can listen to them on Alexa. Also must say a big hello to Tim. Tim's been in touch. He said, I noticed, Martin, in some photographs people are wearing Flash t-shirts. Any chance of them being made available to buy? Well, we are working on a new style of Flash t-shirts, and we'll be advertising that on our website once it's organised, so bear with us on that. We've had lots of people asking about them. Also had a message in from Steve Miller from Denmead. He said, I've managed to listen to much of today's programme. I have to say the music choices are awesome. I've discovered lots of new music, so thank you very much. I've had a great time listening whilst prepping tonight's dinner. I'm a very happy listener. All the best, Steve. So thank you. Keep your messages coming in. You can email studio@theflashonair.co.uk to get in touch with us while we're live, and also you can email community@theflashonair.co.uk. We're back with our guest Jay Groovara, and you're going to give us another live performance very shortly, but first of all, tell us about your next choice of influence.
I don't know, what is it?
Oh, okay.
What's the next one?
Did you want me to remind you?
Yes, please.
Right, okay. It's Blue Cheer.
Oh, yes,
this
Blue
is
Cheer,
the one that I've never heard of, and I'm dying to hear.
I never heard it. Okay, so this was basically the first ever heavy metal band ever, as far as I know. So it came out in 1967 or something, and they didn't know what to call this kind of new sound, so they just called it fast rock and roll or something. But it was basically heavy metal. So. And they were like a three-piece band, and just amazing, and very grungy actually. So I think, but yeah, particularly after that, you had Iron Butterfly, then you had Black Sabbath, then you had Led Zeppelin and all that. But this was pretty much one of the first ever heavy metal bands that came out.
Brilliant, ahead of their time. Let's have a listen to it. This is Blue Cheer, and it's their version of Summertime Blues.
Lord, I got to raise a fuss. Lord, I got to raise a holler. About working on summer just to try to earn a dollar. But Lord, I tried to call my baby, I tried to get a date. Sometimes I wonder what I'm gonna do. Lord, there ain't no cure for the summertime blues. Well, my mama, papa told me, son, you got to make some money. Well, if you wanna use a car to go right next Sunday. Well, Lord, I didn't go to work. I told the boss I was sick. Sometimes I wonder what I'm gonna do. Lord, there ain't no cure for the summertime blues. I've got to take the weeks. I got to have a fun vacation. Problem to the United Nations. I done told my congressman, and he said, quote, niggas, boy, wonder what I'm gonna do. Lord, there ain't no cure for the summertime blues. Summertime blues. Wow, ain't no cure.
Excellent. There's Blue Cheer. First time I've heard of them, and that is Summertime Blues. That sounds like a cross between Jimi Hendrix and the Sex Pistols to me.
Yeah.
But what was the date on that? Late 60s, did you say?
I think it was like 67 or something, maybe something like that. Yeah. So. Yeah.
Excellent stuff. Anyway, speaking of excellent stuff, you're going to give us another live performance. So Jay Groovara is going to be doing it to us live now with his guitar. So tell us about the one you're going to do next.
Okay, this song is called Dronebots, and it's basically about working in a factory. I did work in a factory briefly, and I just felt like I was kind of turning into a robot, and it was really kind of starting to do my head in. So it's basically about that kind of idea. So working in the factory and not having any time to do anything else but working in the factory. So,
wonderful.
Yep. Okay, so
take it away, Jay Groovara.
Work my back off, working in this factory every day. I'm starting to feel like some kind of dronebot. Can you help me find another way? I wanna write some finish. I got a book to write. I wanna learn some Finnish, but I'm stuck in this factory all night. Lots of fire. Dronebots, dronebots. Everybody's working round the clock. Dronebots, dronebots. Everybody's working round the clock. I just want a better world where the dollar don't mean nothing. But some people think that's mighty strange. I saw a TV debate, they told us we gotta move with the times. But I don't want your money, I just want change. Dronebots, dronebots. Everybody's working around the clock. Dronebots, dronebots.
Everybody's working round the clock. Oh, my boss, she keeps on moaning. She keeps on picking out my faults. The way she keeps on droning. You know, we might just start a revolt. Dronebots, Dronebots. Everybody's working round the clock. Dronebots, Dronebots. Everybody's working round the clock. Dronebots, Dronebots. Everywhere I look, everywhere I see.
Excellent. Brilliant stuff.
Thank you very much.
Just remind us of the title of that. Is it Dronebots?
Dronebots.
Dronebots.
Dronebots, like
Dronebots.
Dronebots.
On the Flash, there's Jay Groovara. How many songs have you written over the years?
I did try and do an itinerary. I mean, songs that I play live, maybe about 100 to 150, and maybe probably 300 in total that are workable songs. And there's probably, I've got hundreds of tapes and stuff of ideas, so there's probably a big ton of songs, you know, a back catalogue, a whole box full of tapes of ideas.
So I guess you've got loads of ideas and little bits that have you've not managed to sort of put them together.
Well, it's about logistics, really. I mean, you know, studio time is costly and stuff, so, you know, I've only really managed to record a fragment of all the stuff I really wanted to do, and, you know, so I've only really managed to record only so many of those songs properly, and you know, that kind of thing. But like I say, there's whole boxes full of tapes and a whole backlog of stuff, you know. But,
excellent.
Yeah.
Well, listeners, we have been listening to and enjoying Jay Groovara for this last hour. We've got coming up after the news and announcements, Rob Hislop, who's a Waterloo-based singer-songwriter and musician, and he's played in all sorts of different bands. He'll be telling us about that. And his daughter Ellie is once again joining him and choosing some of her favourites as well. So that's coming up after the 1 o'clock news today. Don't forget, 2 o'clock today is going to be Saturday Sunshine with Millie Tricker live until 4, and then I'll be back at 4 o'clock with Mark Handley, the world famous Mark Handley from Hailing Island is going to be with us later on this afternoon. So lots of stuff coming up here on Love It Live Saturday. Now, before we say goodbye to you, Jay, we must get those contact details. First of all, for anybody who wants to see you perform live, when's the next opportunity in this area?
Well, we're playing obviously Wednesdays at the Jolly Sailor every Wednesday, 7:30 onwards. But basically, our next main gig is next Saturday, the 7th of May, at the Rose and June with the lovely Claire Baker to raise money for cystic fibrosis charity, and we are particularly on about 7:30, I think. But it's gonna be music all day long from about 12 o'clock onwards. What time are you on, Claire?
2.
Claire Baker's on at 2 o'clock. So, but yeah, basically get there for about 12, and I think there's a bouncy castle and everything else.
So you'll be performing and then having a go at the bouncy castle.
I might try and do both. Maybe that'd be an interesting gig.
See if you can do both at the same time.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, maybe see how it goes.
Yeah.
Anyway, Jay, thank you for joining us today. And do you have a website? You have a Facebook page. Just tell us where our listeners can go to find out more about you.
So we've got a Facebook page, Jay Groovara Band on Facebook. We've got a YouTube channel. We have a band mix as well, so you can buy singles off the band mix. So it's all under Jay Groovara. There's a SoundCloud as well. There is a website. It's a little bit tricky to get to it because it's a lot of gobbledygook.com, but it's I guess if you just Google Jay Groovara, you should come up with a list of stuff. But essentially, most of our links are on YouTube or Facebook. So Jay Groovara Band. Yeah.
Excellent stuff. Well, Jay, thank you ever so much for joining us today on The Flash.
Cheers, thank you.
I'm looking forward to seeing you perform myself at some point again in the not too distant future. We've got one last choice of yours as we say goodbye to you today, and it's a Joni Mitchell. So tell us about this one and why you've chosen her and this tune.
Is that the California one? Is it?
It says A Case of You.
Oh yes, A Case of You. Yeah, so I don't know, I just love it. It's just a lovely song. She had a friend who built her this kind of acoustic guitar type thing. It's not really a guitar, it's more of a kind of box with strings strapped upon it, and she'd put it on her lap and play it like a steel pedal guitar, and it was just a really cool instrument, and she used to use that for a lot of her recordings.
Okay, well, we best get into it,
cool.
Otherwise we won't have any time. But thank you ever so much, Jay. I wish we had 2 hours to spend with you. Alas, it's an hour, and we look forward to being back with you soon, having you back on the air. Take it easy.
Bye-bye.